The Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Syngenta Canada, Alberta Wheat Commission, and C&M Seeds.
We're back on Residue again, and it's just driving me crazy that we still aren't doing a good job of spreading that residue. Think about it just for a really quick minute. That residue has a whole whack of potash. In an alfalfa field, if you take off 1 ton of alfalfa, that's 60 pounds of potash. If you have more than a ton, so now we're starting to talk about 5 or 6 ton alfalfa, 360 pounds of potash in 6 tons of alfalfa. Corn residue, same thing. Wheat residue, every time I talk about residue, a whack of potash. If you don't spread that residue out uniformly, well, all of a sudden now you've changed the soil fertility just based on the residue. Not only that, we have all this lousy cold soil underneath the residue. We just have to get better. So we're here at Blythebrae Farms, and they have a bean machine, right? Edible beans. Well, how much residue in edible beans, for crying out loud? None. Why would it be a big deal? Every year after we plant wheat in an edible bean field, those residue strips just show up. So here's a thought process. These guys are finally taking residue seriously, and they've added on this hydraulic spreader. So all it is, a couple of hydraulic motors with some spinners there, some hydraulic hoses up to the front, $3,000 to put this on. Now, rather than getting this crappy wide, 6 foot wide bunch of residue that I can't plant into, I get hair pinning because they're edibles, the soil's always loose, I have all this lousy, uneven wheat that's not going to do the best job. Now I spread it out, and I can get a much better wheat stand. The one thing wrong with this particular unit, we still have all the trash coming off the sieves. So everything that's coming off the sieves is still getting into that windrow. Now it's edible beans, so maybe we get away with that. But realistically, we have to figure out a way to spread that out. And if I have a 45-foot head, Lord help us, we got to spread the residue, the chaff, and the stover that's coming out the back. We have to get that spread 45 feet wide, and that's how it is. So it took a really long time for the big equipment manufacturers to actually get their brains around the fact that a combine isn't just for taking the grain out of the crop, and all that residue doesn't matter a doggone. Finally, the big equipment manufacturers, I don't care if it's green or it's red or it's yellow or whatever, black, you name it, they all are slowly getting there. But if you don't have a brand new one, man, you go back 5 years ago, those 5-year-old combines, which there's lots of them out there, they do not do a good job of residue spread. But this is a beauty system, because right now it's set up that we're spreading all the things coming off the rotor. All the straw's getting spread there. If I want to windrow the straw, because straw's worth a lot of money, and man, if I can make more money, our data's clear. Sell the straw, put the rotation in, and your soil is better. So I'm okay with selling the straw. Oh, I want to windrow the straw. All I got to do is put that up and drop this down, and now I'm windrowing the straw. But that's, again, not the whole story. So what about all the chaff coming off the doggone sieves? Well, with this system, now we're spreading all the chaff coming through here. If we want to windrow the chaff, it's really simple. We're just in here. We just drop that down. That can go in the windrow. A guy out west that wants to feed the straw wants that chaff in the windrow, so now we have it in the windrow. But if I don't want it in the windrow, and I almost never want it in the windrow because it just lays in that really narrow band. So on Johnson's combine, if ever he could afford one of these combines, she's always going to be set up here so that that goes into the spreader. And the other really cool thing is that some of these manufacturers, this one's one, the new premium series John Deere, big S690, 680s, they have this premium series where it adjusts for the wind. So now I have a 45-foot spread pattern. I turn around at the end, we know how fast the wind is, and automatically adjust the fins or adjust the paddles to throw it out so that we compensate and we get that perfectly uniform spread pattern. Really cool technology. For all you guys out there like me with old equipment, you have to do everything you can. Power tailboards. I have an old white combine, new knives in the chopper. Because even with a 15-foot spread, pattern, or 15-foot head, I don't get the spread pattern if I have old worn knives. This is important stuff. Let's do the job right, and that's just how it is.